This is exactly why I love San Martin, a hyper-aggressive light cruiser. That's also a great supportive kind for the team. So how one should play it, what this ship is exactly, and how the tech tree looks like, and what the build is, are gonna be the questions that I'm gonna answer in this video. So without further ado, let's start. San Martin is a combination between Radar Mino and Worcester. You get access to very good set of consumables, such as 9 km radar that you are familiar to if you played Worcester, short range hydro, which is something that's copied from the Daring tech tree that can be replaced with the FAA, and a funny button, which is something unique for the tech tree ships. How it works is basically whenever you hit enemy with main battery shell, you get progress. The moment you stop hitting them, the progress will go down. Once the bar is filled, it won't go down and give you an ability to press it that will just reduce the preparation and cooldown times for all of your consumables, meaning that you can chain them up by just simply pressing them, waiting for them to go on cooldown, and then just pressing the button. You're gonna get them almost instantly. That works on DCP as well. You also get access to Super Heal. This one is kinda special as well, since the property of your ship is that you can recover a lot of damage done to your citadel, meaning that Super Heal is actually very effective. From armament, we get the standard ASFW for the cruisers, we get 152mm guns, which is also pretty standard for light cruiser, but we do not get access to HE armament. However, our AP is slightly improved, not as much as for other ships, but it generally works pretty well. We also have torpedoes that are pretty good in terms of range and their damage. However, you don't get many of them, so it's just a nice addition. In terms of armor, we get slightly better one than average light cruiser would get, but we're still a light cruiser. However, our AA is basically a copy of Worcester, meaning that we are very deadly to enemy aircraft. So, if this ship is so great, why there are so little players playing it actually? It's very simple, the tech tree is painful to grind, especially for new players. Up to tier 7, you get basically copies of Italian and British light cruisers, but nerfed significantly. Let's for example look at the tier 7. You get basically a copy of Fiji, and people generally like playing Fiji, so what's wrong with this one? Well, it's just nerfed in terms of gun performance, range, and you don't have access to smoke screen. From tier 8, you start getting the actual good ships in this branch. You basically get the smaller version of the tier 10, and with each tier you just get a little bit bigger. And I think from tier 8 you gotta start to notice why this tech tree is so shitty. It is because all of the parameters were built around the tier 10 and balanced around the tier 10. And when you just don't get the properties that were there to balance the disadvantages that tier 10 has, to make sure that the button, for example, is performing well, you get just all the downsides. Like tier 8, you get all the downsides of the San Martin, you barely get any upsides, and yeah, this is where the balance goes off. Okay, so what is the build? First of all, the upgrades are gonna be standard for a light cruiser. I highly suggest you buy the coal module for the radar, but you don't really have to. Do not ever put a range mod on San Martin. You're just gonna make yourself more miserable, as the guns do not really perform on that range, and you're gonna have troubles charging your funny button with that. And the ship is heavily relying on this button. In terms of captain build, have a little bit more variety here, but I use this thing. The core of the build is gonna be marked with the red squares, and it's just gonna be standard. Adrenaline rush, survivability, a little bit more consumables, and concealment. I really like the AA based perk, since we already have very good AA. Improving it makes us even more deadly, and extra chance of reducing cooldown on consumables even more is pretty neat as well. In terms of general playstyle, we're playing a support cruiser that likes to brawl a lot. So we need to, at the start of the game, follow up our DD, even if the DD cannot smoke us up, because we are very good at detecting enemy DDs, because our radar is borderline stealth one. Meaning that whenever we are detected, we can basically use it. If our DD or, for example, CV like Essex smokes us up, well, the enemy is just borderline screwed, because we can see them, they cannot see us, and we can gun them down very efficiently. Guns of San Martin perform incredibly well from 10 to 7 kilometers. The closer you are to the target, the more effective you are. And you can live up a lot of engagements. After you secure the cap or the general objective or the flank with your DD, well, we need to know how to actually do damage with this thing. And it's not that difficult. You just gun things down from middle to close range. You do not want to take too long engagements with this ship. Even though you're very durable with 5 super heals and a lot of citadel damage you can actually heal, well, you still need time to use them. So usual engagements should last around the same time you're able to charge your button, plus use your heal. So that whenever you go into cover or just go dark, you can press the button to get your heal back ready up. Same goes for your radar. You do not really want to use your funny button just to charge up the FAA again, unless you see that the enemy CV is approaching you when you're on low HP, or he's doing that with his most important squadron. For example, if you see full squadron of Hakuryu's torpedo planes approaching you, knowing that you're not gonna be dead, but you can easily get rid of all of them, I suggest the FAA would be the thing. Speaking of the FAA, I highly suggest all of you to actually replace your Hydro on San Martin with the FAA. Usually I go for the other way around, because I really think Hydro is very important consumable. However, since San Martin has access only to short version of it, which I find borderline useless on a cruiser this size, to the contrary with that I find it very useful and daring, I think you should really use the FAA here. You're supposed to eliminate the destroyers before they can actually torp you. And this Hydra won't spot enemies over walls anyway, because it's only 3 kilometers. You want to be using prolonged guerrilla warfare similar to what Daring would do, but instead of using smokescreen to get away, you want to use islands. You want to take as many 1v1s as possible. You're very good at winning fights with most of the ships in the game when they are fighting you 1v1 or maybe 2v1, but you cannot really take the anger of whole enemy team. You need to separate enemies using islands, so that they cannot crossfire you. If it happens that you run out of your HP, heals, and possibilities to actually get into a dual position favorable, you still are able to kite using your torpedoes. Since you have only 9 km concealment and 10.5 km range torps, you're able to stealthily torp enemy targets that many people actually do not expect. So, what you waiting for? Get your San Martin and wreak some havoc. If you want more videos like this, well, like and subscribe. The comment section is your guys. See you next time. Silent out.